With the storm possibly heading in our direction, we could see some rough surf, even rougher than what's out here today. Compounding the problem is the Beach Patrol is short on staff. A lot of their guards have already left for the summer to go back to college. It was in the first 10 laps at this race here today that volunteers had to go into action, doing what they've been trained to do. These stables usually house about 30 horses. Fortunately, the stable which caught fire next door only had 6 horses in there at the time. Workers and volunteers tried to save all of them, but only Buck Lee survived. The Moccasins only averaged about 2,000 people a game this past season, and that wasn't enough to financially make it. Hockey just never caught on in Monroe. Region 10's Bo Bayman tells us the Mocs were snake-bit right from the start and never really recovered.
Marty, how are things looking now?
Well, Lisa, workers here in Kent County have done an excellent job getting all of the primary roads plowed, and in Sussex County getting those main roads salted and sanded. So we put this toy gun to the test. It's made for kids 5 and up, and it fails.
Marty Hunloff's in Ocean City tonight, where everyone is making the best of the weather there. Marty, what's it like out there now?
Well, Lisa, actually it is very pleasant. There was a little bit of a breeze through here, but we are not seeing the heavy rain that we saw at times earlier this afternoon. It's a nice night down here down at the inlet. Let's show you a little bit of the ocean. It is a little choppy out there, but it is actually not as rough as it was earlier on this afternoon. Remember, this is the area where just about a couple days ago we saw all kinds of boogie boarders and surfers. They did not venture out today as it was much too rough. We spent the afternoon in Ocean City talking with a lot of the business owners and vacationers, and for the last 3 days, they've just been taking this storm in stride. Gigantic waves are crashing against the rocks at the inlet in Ocean City. Bonnie was showing her power. A crowd gathered to watch.
Well, it's nice to look at. It's a little scary because normally where we're at, we don't see water like this. It's just interesting. It's something we could say that we saw, you know.
The last few days of stormy weather has not been good for beachgoers. Vacationers have been looking for other things to do.
Swimming, drinking, playing cards, riding around, doing a little shopping, drinking.
Other tourists with families were trying to find ways to entertain the kids.
We've been playing Monopoly today. We brought cards along. They played with their beach balls inside. We're still having fun. I don't have to work. No cleaning, no cooking.
Some merchants say the storm hasn't hurt business.
Not really. We've been busy through the entire week. We've been waiting for the storm. The weather's not been that bad. We've had business as usual for us, long lines.
Some other businesses have felt Bonnie's impact.
It's been slower than normal. We always expect it to be slow the last week of August, but it's been slower than normal.
Well, maybe a little bit slower for some businesses, but you would think a lot of the restaurants would be doing very well. I talked with a few people here today, and I said, what have you been doing the last couple days? Everyone said eating. So the restaurants, you'd think for the most part, are doing pretty well. A crowd has kind of gathered around here. Everyone's taking a look at the surf. Reminding you folks that we're going to have Ocean City Mayor Jim Mathias here tonight at 7 o'clock. I assume he will be very happy as this storm seems to, for the most part, missed Ocean City. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Marty.
Traffic is heavy through downtown Berlin. Just a week ago, this street was blocked off to traffic for the filming of Runaway Bride, a flick which brought in big bucks to local businesses.
It was great. Paramount spent a lot of money here in town fixing the buildings up, and needed a lot of merchandise, which I had here in the hardware store.
The production crew bought paint and nails, and when the weather got cold, gloves and socks. Other businesses also cashed in. Rains Reef Restaurant was closed for 12 days during the filming because they were personally catering to the movie cast.
One day we didn't do soups, and Julia Roberts said, my husband's name is Max. So she said, where's Max's soup? I want Max's soup. So the next morning we had 10 o'clock in the morning an order for new soup. So they liked the soup, they loved it.
Almost all the business owners along Main Street say they loved having the movie crew here, and most benefited financially from it. But not everyone was a winner at the cash register.
Business was pretty slow. You know, you have a day or two normally that would be slow. Nobody was really buying. They weren't interested in shopping. They were more interested in seeing Richard and Julia.
A few other retailers said they didn't benefit either from the movie filming here. They say some locals didn't want to come downtown to shop because some streets were closed off. Others were packed. But some business owners still could cash in this summer.
People, sightseers, tourists, I think will come to town just to see the town we're Runaway Bride was filmed, and hopefully it'll come into the hardware store where Julia Roberts had a couple scenes filmed, and we'll be able to sell them something.
If they do, Berlin business owners may not only see their town on the big screen this summer, but movie fans on these streets as well. Marty Hutloff, WBOC News, Berlin.
Look up, look up! Slow down, slow down, slow down. Here we go.
It's a new experience for Christy Sides.
Good, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. Find your man, find your man.
She's been playing basketball all her life, but now she's a coach. Christy is an assistant coach for the Ruston Lady Bearcats, but her main job, as you see here, is head coach of the freshman team. As a player for the Lady Texters, Christy was deadly from the outside, averaging about 7 points a game. A year after graduating, she makes the switch to the sidelines.
Yes, this is the first time. It's frustrating. It is so, but it's rewarding because where we were at the beginning and where we are now, we've done a lot of improvement. All we got to do is play smart, play good defense, and get a few steals. Here we go. Win. 1, 2, 3. Win! We came out, I gave a vocabulary test on my first practice. We needed to know where the elbow was and where the baseline was. You know, I mean, we had to start from the bottom.
But the team has worked their way up, making steady progress.
She's brought them from where they started a long ways. You know, their record's not that great, but, you know, I told her at the start that we wanted, you know, fundamentals and teach them to play the game, that wins and losses weren't that important to us right now.
Her players are impressed with her style.
She helped us far as a team and helped us become a team more because we was playing at first individually, and she helped us come together as one team.
Christy loves the challenge of coaching, and she'll probably coach again in the future. But next year, she wants to leave the sideline to get back out on the court and try to make it professionally in the WNBA. Christy has been invited to try out for the 4-time world champion Houston Comets this spring.
I'm going to give it a shot, so hopefully I'll get the opportunity and play well out there.
I don't think there's any question she can make it in the WNBA. She's an excellent shooter. She's a good leader. She's a person you want on your team. She's hard-nosed.
But Sides is gaining valuable coaching tools at Ruston High this year. And whether it's as a player or as a coach, this experience is sure to help her down the road. Marty Hutloff, Region 10 Sports.
Now, Region 10 Sports with Marty Hutloff.
On Saturday night, the Bayou Beast go for their second win of the season. It won't be easy, though. The Beast will play the best team in the league, the Mississippi Fire Dogs. The Beast have had a tough time in their first ever season in arena football. The team has a record of 1-10, but they're hoping to finish up strong with 2 of their last 3 games at home. The Beast looked good in the first half of last week's game against Ohio Valley, but then fell apart in the second half. Now the Beast is looking to play the role of spoiler here in the last 3 weeks. For Beast quarterback John Forcade, there's added incentive on Saturday night because he used to play for Mississippi.
I know for a fact that this team wants me. Mississippi hates to play against me, and then again, on the other side of it, they want to play against me. So it's a personal thing with me about these guys, and they know that. So we can compete with these guys if we come out and play 4 quarters.
John Forcade's old team, the New Orleans Saints, may stay in Louisiana after all. Saints owner Tom Benson and Governor Mike Foster have set a date to meet face-to-face and again try to work out a deal to keep the Saints in Louisiana. A few days ago, Benson cut off talks and threatened to move the team to Mississippi. Now it looks like Benson has eased up on his demands and is willing to compromise. Benson apparently will put off immediate demands for a new stadium if the state guarantees him an average of $15 million for the next 5 to 7 years. Benson will reportedly keep the Saints in New Orleans if the state can also guarantee that the Saints stay in the NFL's top 18 in gross revenue over the next 5 years. But that's probably the final offer.
There's no miscommunication, and certainly going to today, I mean, it's black and white. It's out in the public, and nobody should have any miscommunication about anything.
Is this the take it or leave it offer, the last one?
I think I've answered that. This is in our minds a very reasonable offer and the best offer that the Saints could put on the table.
Benson and Governor Mike Foster will meet 1 week from Monday. Last night, history was made. For the first time ever, a high school player was taken first overall in the NBA draft. Last night, Michael Jordan's Washington Wizards took Brunswick, Georgia native Kwame Brown with the first overall pick. It was Jordan's decision to take Brown. If Jordan comes back to play next season in Washington as rumored, the two would be teammates.
Had any dreams yet about playing alongside him?
Oh yeah, but my bigger dream is to beat him one day.
That is a dream.
Score one there for MJ. The PGA Greater Hartford Open teed off today in Connecticut. Check out David Duval's approach shot on the third hole. It's going to bounce and roll right up to the cup. Duval was 3 under par today. Shreveport's Hal Sutton was also 3 under par. Here on the 7th hole, his putt for birdie goes right in the hole. Duval and Sutton, though, are both 5 strokes behind the leader, Jonathan Kay, after 1 round. 9 days after Cal Ripken announced that he's retiring at the end of the season, another great player does the same. Longtime San Diego Padre Tony Gwynn announced today that he, too, will retire at the end of the season. The 41-year-old spent 20 years with the Padres. He was an 8-time National League batting champ and ranked 16th on the all-time hit list. He surely will be a Hall of Famer. And folks, I am glad it looks like the New Orleans Saints will be able to work out a deal with the state of Louisiana, because I certainly did not want to see them in Mississippi. That's just not right.
It was looking iffy yesterday.
Sure was.